literally come back from work. Let me just turn on my full cam here on YouTube. We are back. We are live. We are live. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. As you can say, things were running behind in terms of my transportation, and then this computer decided, hey, you know what? I want to do a total reboot of your system so that any updates that may not have been there are there. So therefore, I decided you're going to have a little break for that. So the computer and transportation got me to this, and here I am. But we are back and live on Talk Live. Thank you very much for joining me on IG and YouTube. Those who may have seen me this weekend, I was out a bit this weekend. I'll tell you about the weekend, tell you about the week. I was out to see Just for Laughs at Joy. I think it was, what's her name? It's Behar. Amy Behar, something like that. What's her name again? Jesus, now you got me searching already. You got me searching. Let me see here. Just for Laughs Friday. Last Friday night. I think it was, yes. It was Joy Behar or something like that. Anyways, hold on. It was, what was it now? Oh, headliners, yes. Let me see the headliners here quickly. There we go. Really? Is that what we're doing now? Okay. Anyways, it was, a comedian, Miss Behar, something like that, or something to that effect, anyways. Let me see here. Ooh. I don't know. Hold on a second. Artists. Let me see the artist list here. All artists, whatever. Just give me all artists. Come on, let's go. Here we go. And it was. Holy heck! You know, give me in the first row. Gosh, darn it! Unbelievable. Everybody just wants a little piece of me today. I kid you not, and I can't find them. Of course you would. Anyways, I thought she'd be here, but I guess not. Anyways, what's the 27th, 23rd, 22nd, anyways. For God's sake. Anyways, nonetheless, went to see Just for Laughs on Friday night. I'm not going to even get into that anymore because, quite simply, it's a waste of my time. And, yeah, and then Sunday we went to, yes, the Legacy Awards. That was quite nice, actually. I did enjoy myself there with some of my ALites from yesterday and today. That was really cool. Shout out to the brothers on that one. On where is it now? Legacy Awards. Here we go. Legacy. Now you got me looking up Legacy Awards. Yay! Awards. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Where is it now? Oh, ho, 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 ho. Yeah, I was there at the Legacy Awards on Friday night. Shout out to... Yeah, Julie Black, who was awarded received a special award, and Director X, who received an award as well. And yeah, it was a really, really cool night. And again, I was you had Keisha Shante presenting that evening as well. Those who may know me, in terms of my friend-wise, in terms of my private pages, you would have seen some pictures of my time at the Legacy Awards on Sunday night. That was a really cool event. And let me see here. What did we start here? Oh, a second. The Black Academy. Now I'm just searching through the Black Academy. Yeah. Oh, West Hall is part of the Black Academy. Very nice. Very nice board of directors. Very nice. Tanya Williams as well. Okay, fair enough. For God's sake. Unbelievable. Let me see. Legacy Awards. Let's go there, shall we? Son of a gun. Just so silly. Anyways, yes, indeed. Black Gallery, red carpet. Good stuff. Yes, 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 yes. Great. Unbelievable. They're just trying my patience at all beck and call. Anyways, I'm not. Listen, shout out to the... not even going to go there. Shout out to the organizers of the Legacy Awards. They did wonderful work out there, and it was a pleasure to be there, seeing such stars as Dream Warriors, as Shaw Claire, Socrates, Cardinal Official. It was the 25th anniversary of Northern Touch, so they played a whole medley on that. Julie Black received a special award. Director X received a special award. And, also Ms. Williams as well received an award. And that was really, really cool, guys. And, I was very much impressed with what they did at the Legacy Awards this year. And, look forward to being there again next year because, again, it was a really cool affair. So shout out to the organizers of the Legacy Awards. I forget their names, but, again, it will come to me in due course. And, yes. But, again, we're back. We're live. We're Talk Live. Sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So let's do this. We are into part 2 of Jeannie Mai and Young Jeezy divorce. And we're getting into the legal weeds this time because it didn't have time the last time. And then, again, busy week. Thursday was the last show. Friday, as you know, just for laughs. And then the whole weekend just was, a whole mess of work. But anyways, we're back. We're here. We're live. And thank you very much for joining me. So let's get into this because we have stalled enough and I have paid, I have paid a price in terms of my delay. So we're just going to get into it. Well, last we heard, Young Jeezy was very much, seeking a divorce and getting out and wanting to get out of the relationships, the married relationship that she had with Jeannie Mai. Now, because again, he had enough of her attitude, enough of her dragon lady ways, and he thought that she was draining him and his resources for, and he didn't want to do it long term, so he wanted out. So he filed for divorce, which is rare for a man to come to file divorce because literally he had enough. He wanted out. He wanted gone, and he wanted to be clear of things. Now, we read part of the petition for divorce from Young Jeezy, and it was quite lengthy, saying that because of irreconcilable differences and the fact that they couldn't get their, things couldn't continue as planned, he wanted out. But now we're going to get into the legal weeds. We're going to see that for that, seeing that he is the breadwinner of the new family. Remember, they have a child together. And, with that comes, legal ramifications of alimony, child support, and also equalization payments that have to be made. So we're going to get into that quite quickly and really sort this stuff out. And there's one man we have to go to again, and that is, again, I'm not an expert in family law, but there is one excellent expert in family law in this instance, and that is the lead attorney. And shout out to him. We are taking this from his use. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, yes, I didn't do it the last time, but I will do it now, is I am going to switch on to the browser. Yes, there we go, because I don't want to be left shortchanged here. So what we're going to get into is, get into the full screen here, Young Jeezy, and what's at stake for him at this point in terms of what he may have to pay to get out of this marriage. We have a quick message from Chanel. Chanel saying, a man that files for divorce doesn't mean he wants out. Well, yeah, no. Chanel, very rarely do men very rarely do men want to seek a divorce because they know there are financial repercussions from a divorce. So they know that if they file for a divorce and they're the breadwinner, a cost is coming. So therefore, he has to sincerely want divorce to get out of it. He must sincerely want to be away from Jeannie Mai, because men usually don't file because if they know the repercussions are vast, as we'll get into right now, for Young Jeezy divorce from Jeannie Mai because he's a breadwinner. So he wants control. Well, I wouldn't say he wants control. I think he wants peace of mind here. He wants to. And thank you very much for the comments there, Chanel. He wants peace of mind. He wants a life that's free from acrimony and strife and aggravation and, just simple masculinity and aggression from both parties. He has he has stated it and made it clear that he doesn't want to carry this on. They've had a child together, yes, but he wants peace of mind, and he thinks he can. I think this comes down to the fact that he can find someone who can bring him peace rather than war with Jeannie Mai for any length of time. So he wants out. So let's get into this video from the lead attorney and see what is indeed at stake for Mr. Young Jeezy in terms of divorce. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Let's go.
Battery 70%.
So now he's back like a regular person. What about the property division? There's kind of two things you need to know about Fulton County, about Georgia in general. You got community property states versus equitable division states. What's the difference? This is very important. Community property states are 50-50, all right? So this just means...
Okay, just to let you know, now, the divorce is filed in Georgia. That's where Young Jeezy's from. That's where part of the family lives. Now, again, Jeannie Mai, if you're reminded of last week, she lives in L.A. She lives in California. So that's a whole other state in which there are there are potentially differing divorce laws. And he's coming, and what Mr. Lead Attorney is explaining here is the division between community property states and equitable division states. So I'll let him continue. So let's go.
It's 50-50. What does equitable division states mean? Equitable division is not 50-50, not necessarily. This just means fair. So what does fair mean? Fair could mean 50-50. It could mean 60-40. It could mean 80-20. It could mean any of this stuff. You never really know. In community property states, you know it's going to be 50-50. In equitable division states, it's going to be fair. So Georgia is an equitable division state. So what does this mean? If our man doesn't have a prenup, then the judge is going to have to divide the assets. And the assets are going to be divided not necessarily 50-50. The judge could give the dragon lady more. Or the judge could give Jeezy more. But that's rare because Jeezy already has significantly more money. Jeezy is worth, what do we say, about 3 times as much? So it would be rare for a judge to take from a woman and give to a man who already is worth 3 times more than the woman. You never see that. If that's the case, the judge would just be like 50. You almost never see that. So if anybody has something to lose, it would be Jeezy, because you're not in a...
So basically, what we have here is that Georgia's an equitable division state. So therefore, with that comes the rule that whatever's fair will go to each party. So if he sees that, if the family judge sees it fair to give Jeannie Mai 60% of the property, or 70%, or 80% of the property, that's what will be divided, because it's seen as equitable. Because since she is coming in as the low earner in this relationship, because Young Jeezy's worth about 10 to 12 million, she is worth about 4 million. So therefore, the division between the two is going to be split so that there's a balance created. Hopefully, in this instance, whereby if Jeannie Mai is lacking in terms of resources, well, she's going to be shoring up in terms of those resources. So therefore, Mr. Young Jeezy is taking a hit. Now, that goes back to your statement there, Chanel, in terms of he just wants control. He doesn't want a divorce. He knows the financial repercussions of what's to come. So if he's still pushing for a divorce, you know what that means. That means he really wants out. Because he knows he's taking a hit. But even though he's taking a hit, he wants his peace of mind back. He wants to have self-control. Not just control over the marriage, but, well, the divorce and proceedings thereafter. But he wants peace of mind. He wants to be in a relationship where he doesn't have to stress so much. Doesn't have to be in an argumentative environment so much. He wants it so that he can live out his days in peace. And if you know any man wants 3 things: sex, sandwich, and silence. The silence is what he's not getting from Jeannie Mai. So therefore, he wants his piece. And if he has to pay a 60-40 or 80-20 division whereby Jeannie Mai gets 80% of any sort of marital property, and he gets 20%, so be it, as long as he's rid of her. So therefore, it's a bit different here. It's a bit different here in Canada. Yes, it is. It is slightly different. Again, I would have to ask family law for that, a family lawyer who could probably equate that here. But I'm thinking it's more or less in Canada. I would assume, and this is not legal advice. This is not gospel. It assumes to be more of a community property state where it's more 50-50 based here. Where here you have an equitable division state where, it's up to a judge to decide how the property will be split. The marital property will be split. But let's continue here.
A 50-50 state. A judge is going to take into account in this fair situation a lot of factors. The judge might take into account the age of the parties, the net worth of the parties, the education of the parties, the health of the parties. One of the things that the judge is going to take into consideration, though, is misconduct. The judge might be leaning to give her 80% of Jeezy's stuff, but then found out she was a dragon lady. No, I'm going to give you only 50% of the stuff. So the judge looks at a lot of things in trying to determine what exactly is fair. Here is the scary part, guys, and we're going to talk about something that's scary.
Before we get to the scary part, you heard that what the lead attorney is. Shout out to the lead attorney. Do like and subscribe to the lead attorney, because quite simply, he is within the jurisdiction where this divorce is actually happening, which is Fulton County. Fulton County in Georgia, in Atlanta. Well, that is where Atlanta is based, and that's where Jeezy resides with Jeannie Mai on the East Coast. And that's where he filed for divorce. So therefore, he has intimate knowledge of the law within that jurisdiction, within that state, as he's been an attorney within that state, as the family law attorney within that state for 20 years. So if there's any expert on this divorce, it would be him. So, and we had been through it last week in terms of the divorce petition from young Jeezy, and we are going through it now in terms of what an equitable state divorce involves. Now, however, in terms of her behavior, that may be taken into account in terms of how property is equitably divided. However, as he's going to say, there is a catch, and we're going to go to that catch right now. Let's go.
Jeezy. You need to know two things. You need to know equitable division. Georgia's an equitable division state. And you also need to know about this. This is very, very important. You need to know about separate versus marital property. Anybody know the difference? What's the difference between separate versus marital property, guys? This is where Jeezy can get screwed. This is where Jeezy can get fundamentally screwed. How? Separate property is yours. Marital property is ours. Does that make sense? I'll be your law professor for today. Separate property is yours. You keep it. Marital property is yours. Separate property.
Now again, this is rather universal in terms of most jurisdictions. They always separate property within a marriage, either as separate property or marital property. Now, again, young Jeezy had a prenuptial agreement going into this. 50 is fine within the marriage. Well, yeah, of course. Thank you very much for that comment. We didn't catch it there. 50-50 is fine with the relationship. Of course it is 50-50 fine with the relationship, but again, Jeannie Mai may want more. So she'll always push to have it go 60-40, 70-30, 80-20 sort of deal. But since she is, she is a TV personality, she is worth millions, chances are I doubt the split will go past 60-40, to be fair, in my estimation. However, just getting back to this, in terms of separate property, that is what young Jeezy's counting on in terms of the prenuptial agreement. That the marital property will remain separate. So whatever they came into the marriage with will be divided as such and will be separate as such. So therefore, if he has houses or if he has property and she has property in either household, in terms of fixtures, in terms of any sort of furniture or automobiles, it'll be divided like they came into the relationship. And the marital property is what was bought within the marriage. So, what was this now? Chanel saying, nah, she ain't right for asking for outside, she ain't right for asking for outside the marriage. Well, here's the thing, and here's the twist that he's about to explain. So listen up. That'll answer your question. I won't answer it myself. I'll let him answer it. Let the lead attorney answer it.
Is usually property that you had for the marriage. Marital property is property you got during the marriage. This is pretty straightforward, right? It's pretty simple. Everybody understands that. Now there are some exceptions. You can have, let's say, $100,000 during the marriage. That is separate. How is it that you can get $100,000 during the marriage, but it still be considered separate property? Because let's say you got it through an inheritance, right? Grandma died or something. So even though you got it during the marriage, grandma died after you were married, it still can be considered separate. That's an example. So what's an example of separate property? Separate property is house you had before marriage. What is an example of marital property? House you bought with wife during marriage. So if you bought a house before you were married, it's separate. If you bought a house with your wife during the marriage, it's usually marital. Everybody picking up what I'm putting down? Now let me ask you, why is it that this is a good thing for Jeezy? Can anybody tell me, considering what I just explained to y'all, why is this favorable for Jeezy? Why is this not really favorable for Jeannie? Does anybody know? It's a short marriage. He's only been married 2 years. What does that mean? If you've only been married 2 years, how much shit can you really acquire? It's not like Jeezy was worth nothing and then in those 2 years of marriage got the 15 million that his net worth is in right now. That's not the case. Probably he was worth 14 million before the marriage and then being gracious 15 million during the marriage. So in the 2 years, let's just say he increased his net worth by $1 million. He was already a made man. So even if the prenup is thrown out, separate property is still yours and marital property is still y'all's. So you say.
So you heard what the attorney had to say there, and that is, the marriage is only 2 years. So a small amount of marital property can be procured in a 2-year time frame. Maybe you could buy a house, maybe you buy a few fixtures here and there, but it's not a vast fortune, number one. Number two, not much has changed in terms of Jeezy's wealth. Maybe as the attorney was saying, his wealth may have increased maybe by $1 million here or there, but it's not to any great degree. And the same goes for Jeannie Mai. Her wealth wouldn't have grown any great degree either. So less chance of there being any marital property, nor any growth in terms of your net worth. So that's where he gets off. And in terms of marital property, not much could be bought in that time. So most of it will remain separate property. So therefore, a lot of Jeezy's earnings supposedly should stay with him. So if he has 2 or 3 houses that he had before the marriage, they should stay with him. He doesn't have to hand them off. Not a lot of money or not a lot of property would have changed hands in that time frame. So luckily, it was only a 2-year marriage, so he could get off lightly. However, there is a twist, and we're coming to it in due course. Watch out for it.
Hey, woo! Jeezy's like, well, I had the prenup, but I guess I didn't need it because even if
plus he had the prenup, remember,
the most she can get me for is half, more or less, because it's equitable division, but probably more or less half 50-50, 45-55 of the stuff that we've acquired during the 2 years. So he's like, whoo, I got the prenup. Everybody's telling me to get a prenup. I got the prenup. I fucked it up. But turns out I didn't need it anyway, right? Wrong. Wrong. This is where it gets scary. This is why Jeezy might be screwed. All right? No, man, 1 second. We already said property division is the thing. So we're looking at separate is yours and marital is y'all's. Okay? Check this out. Suppose Jeezy as a house. Y'all are all my law students for today. All right? Y'all are all my law students. He bought the house in 2009. The house has $1 million of equity. Is this $1 million of equity separate or marital? That's the question. Let's see who's the first person to get it. Let's see who's the first person to get it. Jeezy has a house. He bought the house. He bought the house in 2009. The house has $1 million of equity. Is the $1 million of equity separate or marital? Looks like the first person to get the right answer is Sunshine. Shout out to Sunshine. Sunshine says that it is separate. Great question. Great answer. Sunshine says separate. She's right.
Fair use,
Second
guys.
question.
Fair
Last
use.
year, Jeezy received $40,000 from a brand deal. Is the $40K separate or marital? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Last year, he got a brand deal. The David Carmina show. David Carmina, I think, is the first one to get it. David Carmina says marital. This is correct. Guys, now listen. Y'all have done excellent, man. Y'all should go to law school. At least for the first year. Y'all are doing good. Now watch what happens. Watch what happens. It's like magic. We said the house is separate. The $40,000 is marital. Here's the question. What happens if Jeezy uses the $40K to pay down the mortgage on the house? What happens? Does anybody know?
Does anybody know that question? That is, I think you're picking up. If you're picking up what the lead attorney's putting down, then you know Jeezy won't like the result of this. And I think that despite the prenuptial agreement, this may not end up in his favor. But let's continue this.
Does anybody know? Man, listen. Listen to what he says. He says the house can be transmuted to marital. What does this mean? What is he saying? Marriage causes divorces is saying the house is separate. But if you put marital money into the house, now the house can become marital. What does this mean? Well, the house has, what did we say? We said the house has $1 million of equity. $1 million of equity. The equity was separate. Now, what is the equity? What's the equity, guys? Exactly. Exactly. The equity is now marital. What does this mean? It means the 1 million is now 50-50. Guys, listen. This is the problem. This is the problem if Jeezy's prenup gets fucked up. Because Jeezy was operating, listen to what I'm telling you. Jeezy in his mind was operating as if he had a prenup. So Jeezy did not mind. He didn't mind putting the $40,000 into his house because he was like, the house is separate. The prenup says the house is mine. I can put whatever I want in the house and it's mine. But now the prenup has been thrown out. Now he doesn't have that prenup. And now he's put this money into the fucking house. What do we call this, guys? There's a specific word for it. You know, there are a few words for it. Down here in the South, we like to use the word commingling. Commingling. What does commingling mean? You have commingled. You've mixed it. You've mixed it together. You got some mingling here and some mingling there, and you've commingled the $40,000 with the $1 million in equity. You've commingled marital assets and separate assets. And so many times when you commingle marital and separate, the judges be like, the whole fucking thing is marital. The whole thing. So what does this mean in real terms? It means in real terms that from the 1 million, Jeezy gets $500K and Dragon Lady gets $500K out of this one property. If you're a black man in this chat who...
Okay. Before we get to the ramifications of that, now, you see why his prenuptial agreement is so important. So important. Because any sort of monies that were accrued from the marriage, such as a contract, such as a commercial deal, some sort of endorsement deal from any sort of company, and it was let's say $1 million deal, and he used that part of those $1 million to pay off the house. Well, that would mean that house is now, instead of being separate property as covered in the prenuptial agreement. I just forgot. It just went out of my head for a second there. What was covered in the prenuptial agreement is not covered anymore because it's seen as the lead attorney so eloquently put, is commingling now. So now it's what was considered a separate asset before is now considered a marital asset now. This happens in divorce all the time in every jurisdiction because any sort of monies that accrued from a marriage that were used to pay down assets that were considered separate at one time is now a marital property. And the only way it can be extricated from marital property is a prenuptial agreement. And if that prenuptial agreement is thrown out, usually that marital property is split amongst the two because of commingling. So it's there 50-50. A 50-50 share goes to each party within the marriage. So the husband takes 50, the wife takes 50, even though it was considered the husband or the wife's property outside the marriage, separate property. Now you know. That's why when I was speaking to Chanel before, why would he leave? No men leave a marriage. And here, she ain't right for asking outside the marriage. At the end of the day, she's on the come up. She doesn't care. At the end of the day, although we'll discuss that a bit later as to how she really cares, what she thinks, and if she really cares about the marriage. The fact of the matter is that if Jeannie might really want to get dirty, really want to get in the weeds, and really want to get back at young Jeezy, she would ask for the marital property to be split. And even if she had nothing to do with young Jeezy's property, the fact that monies were used to pay for that house that Jeezy had unto himself, it would be considered marital property, and therefore she would get an automatic stipend for what the property's worth. So she would own automatically 50% of that property. That is why, and that's why I repeat to Chanel, as I said earlier, men go into this, especially breadwinner men, goes into this very, very, very carefully. That's why most men don't initiate divorce, because they know that marital property can be split. What they worked so hard for over the years can be totally severed, and they can end up big losers in the end. what they worked so hard for all these years could easily be separated and taken away from them in an instant. Simply because they decided to divorce, or because the wife decided to divorce, even though she showed infidelity. If she's seen as a breadwinner, if she's not seen as a breadwinner, and she's seen as a stay-at-home wife, for instance, therefore she'd be automatically on the come up. She'd automatically be receiving assets for this property. That's why not a lot of men get into divorce, because there is a financial penalty to be paid here. And young Jeezy's willing to pay it as long as he's willing to get away from Jeannie Mai. That's how serious this is. That's how really serious this is. We must take that into account. Young Jeezy's risking a lot here. And for him to do that voluntarily, filing for divorce himself, he's really taking a risk here. And he's hoping that the prenuptial that has been signed will hold up in court. However, as the lead attorney said last week on the show on Talk Live, well, the prenuptial agreement isn't exactly ironclad, because it was presented to her it was presented to her the day before the marriage, so therefore she can get out of that through a myriad of defenses, including duress. So, young Jeezy has problems here, so he's hoping that the judge would see things his way, because if not, there's a high penalty to be paid. But I'll let the lead attorney tell it.
Has ever had a toxic girlfriend and you dump her because of her toxicity, and you are done with her and you dump her and you fuck you. After you say fuck you, put a yes in the chat if you would like to turn around and cut her a check for $500,000. Put a yes if you want to turn around and cut your toxic ex a check for $500,000. I know Keita, boy, do you know how mad Keita G would be if she had to cut a $500,000 check to a certain nigga? Like, do you know how tight she would be? Jeezy, the same guy. What did Jeezy say about I'm focusing on myself? How you focusing on yourself but you still cutting her checks? It's kind of like alimony. She didn't, guys, let me really put a fine point on this. This $500,000 out of this house, let me go back up and let me explain to you guys this so you really get the fucking picture. Jeezy bought the house in 2009. He didn't even know this lady in 2009. He didn't know the lady. Can y'all hear what I'm telling you? He hadn't even met this lady in 2009. He bought that house on his own in 2009, which was a great time to buy a house, by the way. This was when the market crashed, remember? This was the perfect time to buy a house. He made the great financial decision to buy a house down here in Atlanta, and now in 2023, it has $1 million worth of equity in it. Now, because of his great financial decision and all that, now he has to give her $500,000 of that house. She's never even seen the house. She's never been in the house. She's never been in that house. She didn't have anything to do with that house. But now she gets $500,000 worth of equity. Is that fair? And guys, listen to me. Listen to me. What's the fucked up thing about this? What's the fucked up thing about this commingling? The messed up thing, guys? What's the messed up thing? The messed up thing is this. We are just talking about one house. We're just talking about one house. Jeezy's worth $15 million. Do you know what that means? Jeezy has multiple houses. Multiple. What about businesses? Did Jeezy ever put any money into his businesses? What happens to those businesses? Are they commingled? Are his businesses transmuted? Do you see how the decision to have her sign the prenup one day before the wedding can have consequences so far-reaching? So far-reaching. Like, let's go back for a second. Why? Is this commingling thing, is it fair? Is this fair? Is commingling fair? Because he's getting robbed, right? And the answer, guys, is yes. I mean, according to the marriage, it's kind of yes. What's the logic behind this? Me and the Foot Locker chick get married. I make $80K a year. She's broke, of course. She's 23. Cocaine conviction. This is a misdemeanor. Let's say I get 100, just to make the damn math right. What is it? Let's say I make $5,000. If you make $5,000 a month, how much is that? 60 grand. I make $5,000 a month. I make $5K a month. All right, I make $5K a month, guys, and I'm married. How much do I really make? Does anybody know? If I make $5,000 a month, this is not a well asked question. So I'll tell you. If I make $5,000 a month, I really shout out to the Magnum and Brandon. Let's go. That's exactly right. I really make $2,500 a month. That's how much I really make. Why is that? Does anybody know why that is? Because again, we're married. What does married typically mean? Half and half. Even in Georgia, where it's an equitable division state, judges usually think in terms of half and half. So when I bring, and of course taxes and all that, but fuck that. When I bring home $5K, what that really means is let's say 2.5K is mine and 2.5K is hers. Guys, y'all never think about y'all's income like this. Every time y'all go to work, y'all are earning money for you and her. You never earn money for just yourself. You never put money in your pension just for yourself. You never put money.
Let that sink in. Young Jeezy has a very high price to pay. Not only will Jeannie Mai potentially, if the prenup doesn't stand up, have ownership in in Young Jeezy's properties, be they 1 home, 2 home, 3 homes, especially if he's paid down on those properties during their 2 years together. Remember, it's only 2 years. During their 2 years together, she will also have ownership of any of Young Jeezy's ventures, since she is not the breadwinner. As much money as she makes, she's still not the breadwinner in this relationship, because remember, Young Jeezy is worth 12 to 15 million. She's about 4 to 5 million herself. So therefore, Young Jeezy is hoping, praying that this prenuptial agreement holds up in court. She's praying for it. He's praying. And because if it doesn't, she is entitled to all ownership in all businesses. All businesses, all properties that Young Jeezy is owned, even though she's only been there 2 years and he's been paying on these businesses 4 years. And as the lead attorney explained, is it fair? Sure, because she is not the breadwinner. It may be even more fair if she came in with nothing. Clearly she has something, so there'll be some, equitability worked out between the two parties, because she's not exactly destitute. She's not exactly in the street. She can earn money. So, the fact of the matter is, it will remain pretty much a 50-50 sort of relationship. However, it's a kick in the pants for Young Jeezy still, because he still has to, kick over ownership to Jeannie Mai for any sort of property or business ownership that he may have. Stuff that you have been working on from day one without her help for years. And then she walks in, and after 2 years, a divorce that, hey, that's how serious Young Jeezy is. He filed for divorce, hoping that his prenup will stand up. However, he handed it in to her the day before the marriage. And she may be able to get off and have that prenuptial agreement not stand up in court. Then he's in trouble. Then he's in serious trouble of losing a lot of money and a lot of assets that he may hold. I'll let the lead attorney continue, because quite simply, she's not the breadwinner. She's not. You pay the cost to be the boss, but you're paying a real cost if you divorce. Let's continue.
Money into your 401k for yourself. That's her money too. It's her money. You have control of it currently, but it's y'all's money together.
And remember, like he said, and that's what I forgot to mention. I just want to stop it there. But remember, any sort of monies that were earned in the relationship are split between the two. So even though as lead attorney so expertly illustrated, if a man's earning $60,000 a year, $5,000 a month, $2,500 of those dollars are for your wife and not you. You're earning for your wife, even though she hasn't done a hint of work. Part of that money, 50% of that money that you earn, take home pay, belongs to your wife because everything is, well, marital property. So therefore, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. We are in this together. That's why a lot of men don't want to get a divorce from their wives, even though they can do it on a whim and earn big because there's an incentive to do so. This is the incentive. A man could pay off a mortgage, could have things free and clear if he came in with a largesse of the relationship, and at the end of the day, a woman could get a huge payoff simply because she doesn't feel in love anymore. She doesn't feel the love. Her mind's on someone else. She wants out of the relationship. And men can stand to lose their fortunes because of that one emotional decision. Let's continue.
Money, your salary is a marital asset. You acquire that money after you were married. It's a marital asset 100% of the time. When did you get the money? After you were married? Marital asset. Boom. Now watch what happens. Watch this. Watch this. Jeezy owns a house he bought in 2009. Last year, he put $40K in it. How much of his money did he put into the house? He put $40,000 in it. How much of his money did he put in? Anybody know? He put $20K of his money into the house. What's the fucked up thing, if we're going to be honest? Fucked up thing is that he put $20K of her money into the house. He put $20K of her money into the house. Into what house? Into his house. He has $20,000 of her money. Her money, his house. Do y'all see the problem? Her money went into his house. That's the problem. That's the problem, guys. When this commingling occurs, it's because you're putting your wife's shit into your shit. You're mixing it all together. And once you start to mix it all together, stuff can get confused. And the judge is like, you know what, fuck it. It's y'all's now. If you wanted it to be separate, you should have kept it separate. You should not have put any of her money into that house. The judge is going to say, I was going to give you the house. You had the house in 2009. Y'all just got married 2 years ago. It's your house. It has $1 million worth of equity in it. All of that equity was going to be yours. But what did you do? You put your wife's money into that house. When you commingled your wife's money into your house, you transmuted that house from a separate property, your separate property, to a marital property. Now, she owns that house with you. Now, it depends on, what a judge wants to do with this. Because the judge might be like, fuck you, Jeezy. I'm giving her, what can the judge do? What can the judge do? The judge has options. The judge can say fine. The judge can give her the $20K back. That's technically what kind of should happen, right? If he put $20,000 of her money into the house, instead of just giving her half of the house, just give her the $20K back, right? The problem is, guys, it's never that easy. He's been paying off this house time after time, making all these payments, making payments on the mortgage every fucking month, making payments on paying the property taxes. Maybe the house needed to be refurbished. Maybe he sent a cleaning crew over there to clean the house, the maid service. He's been putting marital money all in this house for the last 2 years. A judge will not sit there and go through it all. Not going to go through it all. A judge might say this. The judge might say, well, listen, so this is probably not going to occur, just giving her the $20,000 back. Here's the issue. Let's say the house was worth $800K before, like on the wedding day, and worth $1 million now. The equity. See the equity. So the day before they got married, there was $800,000 in the equity in the house. And right now, during the divorce, there's $1 million in equity. So what's the difference? The difference is, so in these 2 years, there has been $200,000 worth of equity, $200K in equity. A judge may say this. A judge may say, well, you know what? I'm not going to go through all these transactions and try to give her all of her money back. No. But since y'all were married for 2 years and the house appreciated $200,000, I'm going to give her half of this. So she gets half of the equity during the marriage. She gets half of the equity during the marriage. So that means she gets $100,000. Now, mind you, you're still cutting a check for $100,000 to a person, to a woman that you don't even like. You don't even like, and you're cutting her $100,000 check when she don't need it because she got $4 million herself. Give somebody a...
There it is, people. There it is. That's how serious of a heart attack this thing is for young Jeezy. That's why he tried to protect his assets through a prenuptial agreement. However, that prenuptial agreement was signed the day before a marriage. So she potentially could not be of sound mind and body when she signed it, therefore put under duress, therefore, and we explained it last week on Talk Live, she could be, I mean, the long and short story is that prenuptial agreement could be thrown out of court. And then it's up to a judge to divide the properties as she sees fit. Since this is an equitable state, so therefore, whatever was put into the house, it will be divided equally. So therefore, again, as much as he dislikes Jeannie Mai potentially at this time, he still has to be cordial enough to still give her money that she may never have earned in the first place. That's how serious this is. That's how much he really wants a divorce, knowing full well that he can be taken to the cleaners in this instance. He could be handing her monies that she never earned, but since it was earned during the time of the marriage, the equity was built up during the time of the marriage. She owns part of that equity. So she could be paid back for that equity. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem. So for young Jeezy to be filing for divorce, he is not taking this lightly. He is begging, pleading that the prenuptial agreement stands up. But we can never be too sure of these things. Since it was signed a day before the actual wedding. So his fate is in the hands of the family court.
$100,000 when they already got $4 million and you don't like them. You'll be so pissed off on the principality of the thing. On the principality. You know what you could have done with $100,000? You could have done anything with $100,000, but you had to give it to her when she didn't even deserve it. She was not there helping you pick out that house in 2009, but your prenup got thrown out and you were putting all this money in it. Or a judge might not like you. You know, we like these rappers. We like these good citizens, but we don't like these thugs. Judge might give her half of the $1 million in equity. Oh my God. That's when you want to take yourself out. Give her $500,000. Give her $500,000. Can you imagine giving a woman that you don't like $500,000? $500,000.
Now you know why why marriage numbers are falling and plummeting off the scale within the last 5 to 10 years. Because men don't want to take the financial plunge they did before. Women have more to gain in a marriage. That's why I've always said feminists, women's movements do not protest outside of the family court because they know it's counterproductive. Because they know the family court is on their side. There is an incentive for them to divorce. There's an absolute incentive for women in the Western world to divorce because pretty much family law is pretty similar throughout most jurisdictions. Either in Canada or in the States or in Europe, Western Europe, it's pretty much sided towards the woman. So therefore, as a man, you can lose your shirt unless you're financially sound as a man. And a haircut like that can set you back. That's why 70% of the homeless population are men. A good percentage of them fell victim to this sort of, well, embezzlement of funds to divorce settlements such as this, and as a result, they couldn't get back on their feet, so they're out on the street. That's the problem. But young Jeezy is so adamant to be divorced from this woman, he went through it anyway. That's why a lot of men, if men are always advised, do not get married with the state involved, because if the state's involved, this can happen to you. If the jurisdiction's involved, the province is involved, this can happen to you. Especially in the Western world. Especially to a woman who may not come into a marriage with anything. Or may be as lucky as Jeannie Mai is and be a millionaire herself. If you still earn more money than Jeannie Mai, you may be handing over money to a woman that you generally dislike, and will dislike even more for having to hand money over to her. But we'll get to the up-to-date rumors with regards to the marriage in a bit, because again, there may be salvation at the end of the tunnel. So let's continue.
And again, guys, listen to what I'm telling you. That's for one house. Does anybody you know have $15 million and only have one house? Is that even possible? There's like no one who has that's a multi-millionaire with only one residence. Brandon Lesko got $15 million. Brandon, how many houses do you have? Is Brandon still in here? How many houses do you have? No one with all this wealth has only one fucking residence. Do you know how many Airbnbs there are in Atlanta? Jeezy stays right down the street. Like, just imagine stroking a check for $500,000 on one house when you got multiple houses. The judge gonna take a piece of every house. A piece of every house. Can you imagine that? This is where no one's talking about this on YouTube. This is where
and this is where shout out to the lead attorney who is really, really on the ball in terms of this whole divorce with Jeannie Mai and young Jeezy. The fact of the matter is, he's absolutely correct. This is at the discretion of a judge. A family law judge. If there's an ounce of prejudice, well, I wouldn't say prejudice. If young Jeezy doesn't show himself to be pleasing to a judge, as the attorney said, if, let's say, the family court judge does not like rappers and chooses to throw a book at her discretion at young Jeezy, throw out his prenuptial agreement, and divide the marital property even equitably, as it would be in this instance, because Jeannie Mai is not destitute. It still means a lot of money, a fortune of money has gone to this woman alone. Quite simply, he will have to start again and earn and basically sell any property that he may be involved with if they can't come to an amicable conclusion. Start from scratch. Start all over again. Because they can't decide what property will belong to who. Now, I think cooler heads will prevail, and property can be divided equally, as much as child support. But again, that remains to be seen. that we're at the end of hour one. We're going to get into hour two in just a bit, so stay with me here on IG. On YouTube, things will continue as per usual. But, yeah, we'll continue this discussion right after this Instagram break. All right? Talk soon. And we are back on Talk Talk Live. We are going to go live here again. Back into hour number two of Talk Talk Live here on IG and YouTube. Again, we're like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're into still into the Jeannie Mai Young Jeezy divorce. And that first hour, we were just displaying the sort of risk, the sort of real risk Young Jeezy is taking in terms of this divorce, and how much he can potentially lose from such a divorce from Jeannie Mai, seeing he is the breadwinner and worth 2 to 3 times more than Jeannie Mai, even though Jeannie Mai is worth $4 million or so. So, we're sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Fall winter line out now, and it is a banger fall winter line. I think we'll be coming back with it tomorrow. It's just that today I was stretched in terms of time, so therefore I came in my work attire, and we're going to still break this divorce down. I'm gonna let Mr. Lead Attorney finish up here.
Sanity comes in if his prenup is actually thrown out. And this is just about the house. What about the businesses? The same thing. What about the bank accounts?
But for me, dark meat on the side, white keeps me mean and lean. You know, that's why I'm married.
You don't have to answer that question.
Okay. So, let's go to another part of this divorce, and that is the alimony. Now, the alimony is what may have to be paid from Young Jeezy to Jeannie Mai, being since he's been the breadwinner, in terms of support payments for Jeannie Mai. Because despite the fact that she is worth a certain amount of money, in the millions to be fair, she's part of that top 1% of earners, she still needs help. She's still out there. She may be alone. She may be destitute. So we're going to see how the alimony works. And again, we're going to continue with the lead attorney here in this instance. And yeah, we'll let him explain what sort of alimony that Madam Jeannie Mai may be entitled to. So thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Let's go.
Thrown out. What's he looking at? What's he looking at in terms of alimony, for example? Will Jeezy have to pay alimony? This is going to depend on a lot of things, but I would say no. Why would he not have to pay alimony? Well, he does have significantly more money than the woman, but their marriage was for 2 years. Can judges in Georgia give alimony for marriages lasting 2 years? They can. Do they? Almost never. Almost never. Down in Fulton County, guys, as attorneys, we have to argue this stuff. But in Georgia, there is no numerical calculation of when to give alimony. You can't say, if you're married from year 0 to 5, you get no alimony. Year 5 to 10, you get 20%. Year 10, 15, you get 40%. Nothing like that. It's not like child support where there's a calculator. There's nothing. If I'm representing Jeezy and you're representing the mom or the wife, Jeannie or whatever, we might have to argue about this alimony because there's no laws on it to say exactly how much you're going to get. But what we attorneys do in Atlanta, it's like, okay, our first question is, has the marriage lasted 10 years? You will not see that in OCGA. You will not see that in the statutes. You will not see that in the rules. It's just kind of a ballpark figure that attorneys kind of come to, whether we're going to really fight about it or not. If you've been married for 10 years, a lot of times we'll say, okay, alimony's on the table. Now, that doesn't mean we know the amount. It could be alimony, $1,000 a month. It could be $3,000 a month. You've got 2 issues with alimony. You got to know the amount. Is it $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000, $15,000 a month? You have to know the amount. What other thing do you need to know? You need to know the term. What's the term? How long? Are we talking 12 months, 18 months, 36 months, 72 months, forever. Also in Georgia, there's no set amount. You don't know if it's 1,000, 1K, 3K, 5K. We as attorneys, we have to argue all of this. A lot of times in a divorce, alimony will be one of the hardest things to negotiate because there's no guidance. Some judges will give you 1,000, some judges will give you 5,000. Some judge will only give you 12 months, some judges will give you 72 months. So you also have to
Okay, just before we break that down into, well, as you can see, before we break this down, let's define what alimony is. Alimony pretty much is support payment from the former breadwinner of the relationship to the non-breadwinner, sort of like to keep them up into the lifestyle to which they were accustomed, right? So, in this instance, and as the attorney was saying, in this instance, because they were only married for a short period of time, 2 years, chances are alimony will not have to be paid out. However, it was for an extended period of time, then there would be some alimony paid out. Now, again, we're talking about term here. We're talking about the amount that, and these are all arbitrary depending on the judge, depending on the jurisprudence, depending on sort of the case law on these sort of issues. But to be fair and frank, in this instance, there won't be much paid out, if not anything paid out, because this marriage was so short. And that is to the benefit of young Jeezy, because if any alimony needs to be paid out, it is from his pocket to hers. Such is life. Cheaper to keep her, yes, absolutely. However, he couldn't take her any longer, so he risked having to pay alimony, but luckily in this instance, and because of the short duration of time of the marriage, he may not have to pay anything. But depending on the judge. Let's continue.
Your judge. You guys never think about this when you get divorced. The amount that you pay can be totally dependent on the judge, not even the laws. Listen, guys, not on the laws, on the judge. Because it's the judge that is interpreting the laws. Think about that. You and your wife can get divorced. You can pay hundreds of thousands of dollars less or hundreds of thousands of dollars more, all depending on the judge. Black judge, white judge, male judge, female judge, happy judge,
explaining what I just said.
Angry judge, cool judge, full judge, hungry judge. It's so random. None of you guys think about that. If you've got a prenup, you don't have to worry about all that. If you don't have a prenup, now you're in Wonderland. I like that. I just made that up. Wonderland. You're
As he said, so much, again, young Jeezy may be able to avoid this issue because of his prenup. His prenup is his, how should I say this? His life preserver. It is his safety blanket. It is his cane corso at night, looking out for you, defending you and what you love. And again, it's at the discretion of the judge if they want to honor that prenuptial agreement. A lot hinges on this now. A lot hinges on it. But again, as the attorney was just saying, after 2 years, that may not be an issue for young Jeezy. So, we'll leave it at that. However, there is the question of child support. We'll get to that a little later. But I'll let him continue with this.
Am I going to have to pay the 1K a month? Or am I going to have to pay the 5K? Can I get away with 12 months or do I have to pay the 36? But in this case, will Jeezy have to pay alimony? I would say no, because it's only going to last 2 years. Again, attorneys in Fulton County, we'll start to look at around the 10-year mark, to be honest. Well, 9, 10 years. If it hits 10, we'll say it's on the table. For 2 years, man, get out of my face. If I'm representing Jeezy and this lady wants alimony for 2 years, get the fuck out of my face. Now, she might be like, well, Lee, listen. We don't want alimony. Alimony como tal. Pero, she's in the marital home and she needs to move. She got a lot of furniture in here. She's going to be cool and leave a lot, but she needs to take a lot. When she moves out, she's going to have to find a new place. First month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit. She's going to need to cut the light on. She's going to need to cut the water on. She's going to need some internet up in that damn thing. And the moving truck. She needs to hire 3 moving trucks. So in all, it's going to take around $10,000. Let's say Jeezy's worth $15 million. We're not going to say alimony like that, but can you shoot her $10,000 to move out? Now, that can be considered a form of alimony, right? Just to kind of get her set up. A lot of times a woman will move out. She'll need to get help. She'll need help setting up. A lot of times y'all will move out and y'all will need help setting up, but no one gives you a penny. When women need help setting up, they get the alimony. Y'all need help. Y'all better live with y'all brother in the basement. So a lot of times women will need this kind of setup alimony, right? Just to get on their feet. So it's not going to last 18 months. Shoot her $5 grand, $7,000, $10,000. Let her get on her feet. If he's worth $15 million, he'll probably do that, right? Whatever. Now, does she need it? Alimony, guys, you have to think about alimony in 2 ways. What are the 2 factors in alimony? The 2 factors of alimony are, number 1, can he pay? Right? Can he pay? Everybody knows that Jeezy can pay. What's the second factor? Does she need it? Now, she might need the 10 grand to move, in that it's going to cost her 10 grand to move. But does she need him to pay the 10 grand? If she's worth, $3 million, she doesn't need it. So that's another reason why I would say no to the alimony. Number 1, can somebody put in the chat, how much are these people worth? And when y'all look it up on Google, it's going to be wrong, right? This lady's not poor. If the lady was making $65,000 a year, she needs the 10 grand. All right, Stephanie says Jeezy is worth $15 million. What is the woman worth? Jean is worth 4. If I'm representing Jeezy and Jean's attorney, can I call her Jeannie? Jean's attorney comes and says, hey man, it's gonna take this lady $10,000 to move. I'm gonna say, okay, $10,000. I'm gonna go to Jeezy. I'm gonna say, Jeezy, she wants 10 grand to move. Jeezy says, Lee, do you know how much she's worth? I say, how much? Jeezy says, Lee, she's worth $4 million. I say, 4 mil? He says, yeah. I go back to the other attorney. I pick up the phone. He answers the phone. I say, fuck you. And then I hang it up. You got $4 million. You move yourself. Move your fucking self. 10 grand. I don't give a shit. You got 4 million. We ain't playing. Come on now.
There it is. My guy. My people, sorry. Thank you very much for joining me at Talk Live on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, run the drill to 1,000 subscribers. That is indeed it. Because Jeannie Mai is worth a lot of money. Her net worth is about $4 million. She is one of the top. She's one of the top 1% of the nation in terms of earners. Chances are she won't get any alimony. Now, alimony are support payments to keep them in the life to which they are accustomed. But however, she's already rich, so why would you need alimony? Why seriously would she need alimony? This is where things should become fair and equitable for young Jeezy, even if there is no prenuptial agreement, because she is coming in rich. That's one thing. The one good thing that came with this relationship is that young Jeezy married a rich woman. So she does not long for much, if anything. So, chances are alimony is off the table here. Literally off the table. So, let us continue.
Now, stop wasting my time. To Nikolai's first question, is he going to have to pay alimony? My educated guess, and again, I haven't seen any of the evidence. We haven't gone through discovery, no depositions, no interrogatories, no request for production of documents, no special admissions, no nothing. I haven't seen anything. But just based on the little bit that I do know, a 2-year marriage, this lady's worth $4 million. No alimony. If I was a judge, I wouldn't give her any alimony. That's for damn sure. Not for 2 years. And she said she had a hot temper. Please. No, I don't. The facts would have to be really compelling for me to give her $1. She got $4 million, 2 years. No. Now, here's the scary part. So Jeezy's good on the alimony. What about the property division? This is where it gets scary, guys. What about the property division?
Well, again,
you don't have to answer that question.
We have already answered the property division problem in our earlier on. Well, this is we've already discussed it, so we are just getting this from an alimony angle. But again, you know that Young Jeezy is in trouble in that instance because the property, as you say, since it's been commingled with terms of other assets, he could be in trouble. So thank you very much to Lead Attorney for that. Like, subscribe to Lead Attorney. He's doing wonderful things in the YouTube streets. He's doing bang up business in the YouTube streets. But let's get into the child support. Now, I'm going to try and look for this because I remember here. Yes, indeed. There's... I'm going to try and find out if there's a child support element to this. Well, we already discussed the fact that what Young Jeezy can argue in terms of the divorce. But in terms of child support, I don't think there's much that Jeannie Mai can get in terms of child support. I'm going to commingling. We got that. I don't see anything. But in terms of child support, I don't think there's much to be decided here because it's not as if I'll just explain it myself. There's not as if there's a lot of money it's not as if Jeannie Mai is destitute and she needs child support in order to support the child. So my assumption is that she won't get much in child support because she's already rich herself. So therefore, any sort of equalization payments, they frankly would be non-existent because she's a millionaire, he's a millionaire. They're both high earners. So it would be incumbent on each other to pay for the child once they're in their care. Other than that, no money will have to be shared so much. So I think the biggest hit that Young Jeezy would have to take in this instance would be with regards to the separation of assets. And the fact that the assets that were paid for during the marriage are now marital assets instead of separate assets, and therefore he'll have to cut a check in order to get either get the marital property back in his name or having to divvy up the property in and of itself completely. So that is where we stand with that. But there is new rumors coming in with regards to Jeannie Mai and a reconciliation with Young Jeezy. That's right. It seems that Jeannie Mai does not want to leave. Let me see if I can find this. She doesn't want to leave Young Jeezy. She'd rather, she wants to keep the marriage going because, let's face facts here, people. This is her last, I would say, if not one of the last shots, this is the last shot of her having a, some sort of, credible marriage with a man. It would be through this. It would be with Young Jeezy because, again, he entails everything that she wants in a man. Basically, he's a high earner. He is a man with status. He is a man that could pay for a certain type of lifestyle. She wouldn't be struggling, and she already had a kid with him. So therefore, it'd be incumbent. Well, she doesn't want to lose that. She doesn't want to lose the status of a marriage with Young Jeezy. So therefore, she has been pleading with Young Jeezy to stay, to come back to her, to at all costs, and I'm just gonna find out There we go. There we go. I was pressed for time to find this. Okay, here we go. I was watching it. Yes. Here we go. This is the one I wanted to say. Right here. And this is from Coach Greg Adams. I was watching this yesterday. And Coach Greg Adams explains it this way. This comes from us. This comes to us from yesterday's show.
Is he up next?
Shout out to
he says no one cares about.
Shout out to Coach Greg Adams
about men.
Doing wonderful things on YouTube sheets. So let him break it down.
A source says Jeannie Mai is devastated that Jeezy filed for divorce and says she wants to work things out. Nope, Jeezy, let me talk to you, sir. Let me talk to you. Do not work it out, Ninja. Go with your gut.
Now, before he goes into this, I know a lot of ladies out here who are within the sound of my voice. They'll be saying, "What are you? What is this man doing? Talking about that he that young Jeezy should run from this divorce, despite any sort of financial penalties that may allot from the marriage in terms of, marital assets and splitting a property and commingling a property. Despite what financial hits he'll have to take from that." CGA wants him to run away. Literally want him to run away. But so I'll let him explain his side of the story. But the going rumor is that, as says here, shorts to say Jeannie Mai is devastated that young Jeezy filed for divorce and she wants to work things out. Because, let's face facts here. Young Jeezy is as good as it gets for Jeannie Mai. She's 43, 44 years old. She's had her child. She's not going to find another young Jeezy out there. She's not. Not at this age. Because remember, the two pillars of womanhood, of the three, youth, beauty, fertility, two of them are taken away, which is her youth and her fertility are pretty much gone right now. And the fact that she has already had a child for young Jeezy. So she's not going to be on the top of the list in terms of eligible bachelorettes out there if she's put back on the market. Because everybody will pretty much pale in comparison to young Jeezy. So she's taking a page out of the book from Beyonce and says, nope, I don't want to leave this. As bad as I've acted, I don't want out. Because I can't find another. She's devastated, as she said. She doesn't want to leave the marriage. Although young Jeezy pleaded to her, smarten up. She didn't smarten up. She didn't think it would come to this. It's now come to this. And now she's saying to herself, okay. She wants a mea culpa. She wants her family back. Okay, so be it. However, as will be explained here, Coach Greg Adams, like, subscribe to Coach Greg Adams. He's doing wonderful things in the YouTube streets, especially for Red Pill and the Black Manosphere. To be fair, well, definitely Red Pill. He wants this man to run, and he'll explain his reasons for it, his grounds for young Jeezy to get out of the relationship right now.
Already filed for the divorce. Take the L and keep it moving. This woman is going to delete you if you go back. You're going to give her a second chance. You're going to give her a chance to finish the job off. You already showed your hand. You already just aired her ass out. You already about to take a child support L. You're going to extend the marriage clock. Just go ahead with the divorce. And then if she want to cooperate after that, hit her ass with a really solid prenup and then get her ass in line. But I wouldn't even do that. Just leave. Don't do it. This is a trap. Jeezy, listen to me. Listen to me. You already made the worst mistake of your life, marrying her. If you go back to this woman to work it out, it will be the second and the next it's going to be the worst thing you've ever done. She will take this ninja out. Trust me, this will.
So before I let him continue, he mentioned something about the marital clock or the divorce clock and how it is indeed gonna restart if he again reconciles with Jeannie Mai. And what he means is if Jeannie Mai and Young Jeezy get back together and they are back in the marital bed together and things are rekindled, quite simply, then the marital clock will automatically restart. So therefore, it'll take him a certain amount of time for him to file for divorce. So again, that puts the ball would not be in Young Jeezy's court again. It will be back in Jeannie Mai's court. Because again, for him to refile for divorce, he'll have to go through a whole process of things in order for him to restart the clock. So usually it takes about a year to 18 months for him to file for divorce anyway. Because again, you can't really file for divorce that quickly. So now that he's gone through the 2-year mark, now that things are of a nature that, sorry about that, are of a nature that would allow Young Jeezy to leave, you don't, what Coach Greg Adams is saying here, he does not want that clock to restart again, especially if they're back and quietly commingling in the marital bed. So therefore, make a break, leave, get out of there while the getting's good, take the pit, take the loss, whatever it takes, but get out of there because, as Coach Greg Adams was saying, she's no good for him. She's absolutely no good for him, and actually he called on it. And he'll refer to that in a minute. So I'll let him continue.
Will be the dumbest thing you've ever done, and this will follow up the already dumb thing you did by marrying her. Jeezy, do not do this. Do not fall for this trap. This is a trap. This is a trap. She already effed up. She already showed her hand. She's not manageable. She's untrainable. She's unmoldable. She's not malleable. She's a rebellious feminist, and she's a loudmouth. She telling all your business. Ninja, she just looking for the leverage. Do not do this. Jeezy, do not do this to yourself. Stay away from this woman.
Yeah. He put it bluntly. I think I think Coach Greg is literally saying that while you have the upper hand, while it may hurt financially to have this go on, not only through moderately through child support, but definitely in terms of your assets, you'll take a hit in that instance in terms of the separation of assets, of marital assets, of marital property. The fact of the matter is you'll have peace of mind and you'll be able to move on past this, better for it, and be able to get someone who is more malleable, who will be fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, and submissive. Because as Coach Greg Adams was saying here, Jeannie Mai's, she may be fit, she may be feminine, but is she friendly, cooperative, and submissive? Probably not. So therefore, get out, make a clean break, find someone who is. And it's up to Young Jeezy to take this advice, but for the most part, I think Young Jeezy remains unmoved. He really wants this divorce, and Jeannie Mai wants things to be put back together again because quite simply, she'll never find another Young Jeezy. She will never find another Young Jeezy as much as she likes it, and as much as she likes white dude, she'll never find another Young Jeezy like this, another guy like Young Jeezy. So she's taking the book again out of the Beyonce playbook, taking a play out of the Beyonce playbook, and say, you know what? I'm not leaving my man. But it'll take a real nudge from Young Jeezy to get this over the line. But again, as long as he understands the financial consequences that may result, especially if his prenuptial agreement falls through, Coach Greg Adams says, take the hit and move on.
Jesus. I don't know what to tell you. And let me read the statement. According to page 6, sources claim that the TV host is devastated that her marriage might be coming to an end and wants her family unit back. Jeezy, don't do it. This is going to be a dumbass decision. All right. And it says right here, according to the source that spoke to the news outlet, the truth is Jeannie wants her marriage to work. and wants her family to be one solid unit. Well, yeah, you had your chance and you blew it. You were trying to be a feminist and you moved in all of your family, bruh. She is devastated that Jeezy filed for the divorce. The source also added, despite the divorce filing, Jeannie.
Now, this is one thing I never did know about that he brought to. That I'm glad he brought this back to light. The fact is that she moved her whole family with Young Jeezy. So not only did Young Jeezy was he with himself, his wife, and his children, he was taking on Jeannie Mai's immediate family herself, her mother, father, some cousins, some people. He was taking them on in as well, in his marital home, and that didn't fly with him. That definitely did not fly with him. So, with that, Coach Greg is saying that he wants free from this lady, from free, clear, out of there, and. Despite the financial hit, can you blame them? May not be, because again, if someone tells you who they are, believe them. Maya Angelou. If someone tells you who they really are, believe them. And believe me, Jeannie Mai is a dragon lady. Remember this. Remember this, my people. Where did it go? Da. Oh, it was here before. I don't think I got it back. Hold on a second. Well, I can't find it right now. But anyways, before anything was brought together here, remember, Jeannie Mai was indeed a self-confessed dragon lady. She is one who resembled her mother. She's very strong-willed, very masculine, very aggressive in terms of her partnership with other men, and she dragged it out with her first marriage, in that in which he made her first marriage life a living hell, and she self-confessed to that. And it was only through Jeezy who literally said, "No, that attitude won't fly here," and therefore, and I'm sure she carried on with that attitude, as has been shown here with the lady that was on with the lead attorney last week. That attitude is absolutely true. She likes to be the dominant one in the relationship. She can be a bit aggressive. She can be a little tough to live with. And now she's begging for him back, begging for Young Jeezy back because she sees the error in her ways. Well, Coach Greg says, get out of there. Get out of there while you can. I'll let him continue.
She loves Jeezy and she wants to work things out. Nope. She did not get married to get divorced. She was already a divorcee. You already got married and got divorced. What are you talking about? This is your second one, and you're almost on the third strike.
I do get what she's saying by I didn't get married to get divorced, because this is about as good as it gets, as he said. She will not get another Young Jeezy in her life. This is it. So for, it is, she will move heaven and earth just to make sure that this marriage continues. Plain simple, to the point. She will not want to get rid of this man, because there is not a Young Jeezy, a bigger, better Young Jeezy coming down the pipe. She realizes that. She made a big mistake in terms of trying to lord over this relationship. Because she was checked, I'm sure, many times by Young Jeezy, but she said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll break him down." She never did break him down, to a point where he's filing for divorce. He is willing to undergo financial penalty, and severe ones at that, just to be rid of her. And I think it's gone through her head that, oh, this man's serious. Yeah, this man's serious. He wants out. Rarely do you find men who want out from their relationship. This one does. Young Jeezy does. Despite any financial penalties, he knows he can make it back, quite simply. He's literally got a New York Times bestseller. He's still a award-winning, platinum-selling artist. That money will come back. For Jeannie Mai, it may not. And she realizes that. She finally realized, oh my God. This man is the best I can get right now. I messed up huge. My attitude stinks, and it's cost me this. So she's begging for him back. She's scrambling now. According to rumors. This may not be true. It's according to rumors. So, it's up to Young Jeezy who wants to take him back. But Coach Greg's saying it. Don't look back. Keep going.
This was not a part of the plan. Again, the divorce is planned at the wedding. She wanted to be the one to pull it. This is not how she ever imagined things would go down. Well, even though Jeannie has filed, even though Jeezy has filed, Jeannie is holding out hope that he would be willing to sit down and work things out. Jeezy, don't do it. I'm here to help you. And by the way, Jeezy, if you're watching me, because listen, CGA is internationally known. If you're watching, I told you in October and February of 2020 to not do it. I already told you to not do the first marriage. And you didn't listen to me. Because you was in love and she was love bombing you and she was playing an act. I'm warning you.
And remember, this is a relationship that was born out of the pandemic. So a lot of things were different at that time. People were at home. People were resting in place. People were separate. So therefore, a lot of strange bedfellows were started during that time. A lot of them. A lot of marriages that turned out to be not so great were started during that time as well. It was a strange time. So therefore, there's a little buyer's remorse here on the part of Young Jeezy, to be fair. And, I think Jeannie Mai really knew what she was doing at that time, but she doesn't want to lose. She doesn't want to lose the man. Because with that man gone, the status is gone, the money is gone, the lifestyle's gone. But she didn't learn her lesson. She didn't, shut up. Sorry. She didn't take the advice of Young Jeezy, and remember, silence is one of the 3 keys to a man's heart. Sex and with silence. She wouldn't shut up. Unfortunately. She would not keep quiet. She wouldn't keep her counsel. And no man wants to come home to themselves. And that's what Jeannie Mai was. She was very masculine. So much so that even after 2 years, he wanted out.
Do not do this. Move on. Move on with life. I know you're going to be like, that child support going to be hurting. Ninja, you lucky. That's going to be the best thing that happened to you, that child support. It says right here, as we all know, the news hit the internet. It was announced that Jeezy called it quit. It says Jeannie Mai just 1 year after they welcomed the daughter. Okay, we already know these details. But I'm letting you guys know, man. And I'm letting you know. If this happens to you, we have an episode called Never Take an Ex Back. They're an ex for a reason. I know you're going to get me like, oh, man, I know how to make love to her. She know how to touch on me and put her mouth on me. Sweet, she's the best sex I ever had. Don't do it. You already took an L. Cut your losses. I know you're going to be like, but my daughter. Ninja, you can make another.
Well, speaking from experience, again, I never went back to an ex, which had very similar traits that CGA, Coach Greg Adams, just explained. And he's right. They're an ex for a reason. What was trying to be hid now becomes evident over time. And quite simply, it's always best to move on. They're an ex for a reason. Love them from afar. Keep a friendship. But other than that, don't get into a relationship with that person. I still have a relationship with my exes, but I never wish to get back with an ex. He's absolutely correct. Time for you to move to pastures new. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Other daughter, go to Vietnam and you can find a girl out there right now. Just let you do. Never go back to an ex. I have a rule. I've never gone back to an ex.
Same here.
Never. Now I've messed with girls that have off and on. Like we didn't break up. It was just kind of like we were doing something. Situationship. We fell off. We came back. That's different. But if we're in a relationship and a relationship ends, that person is not eligible for me to take them back. We already broke up. Like, it is not the best. And then when you talk about another marriage or to keep the marriage going, you already filed for divorce. It's over. There's no recovery from that shit. You already filed for the divorce. You put everything in writing. You you hired a lawyer. Then just, no. Wash your damn hands and keep it moving. It's done. Do not listen to her. Do not listen to her. All right. I just have to say this, Jeezy, because you didn't listen to my advice in 2020. You didn't listen to it. All right. You didn't listen to it. Let's hear what Jeezy has to say. No one cares about men. Here we go.
A black man, black or brown man, you get to a certain age, nobody cares about you no more. Right. Nobody cares. Right. If it ain't your family, nobody in the world cares that you succeed or that you're happy, or that you're healthy, or you're any of them things, right? So you have to do that yourself. You have to set yourself up. When you're a black man, black or brown man, you get to a certain age, nobody cares about you no more. Right. Nobody cares. Right. If it ain't your family, nobody in the world cares that you succeed or that you're happy, or that you're healthy, or you're any of them things, right? So you have to do that yourself. You have to set yourself up.
Now, he said black and brown man, and he's certainly right. Man, black men nobody cares about black men at all. At all. Not even black women. Your family, you're a utility. You're a utility at best. Nobody can really say, yes, I care about my man. We rarely see this, and it's sad. I would love to hear anyone to respond to me to show me that they actually care. If you take that guy and no one's directly benefiting from that guy, no one would care about him. If you can't get that guy to benefit, like if there's no benefit, there's no association. Nobody gives a shit. Once the man hits 40 and he isn't married anymore, or he could still be married, nobody gives a rat's ass. It's all about what you produce. What do you provide? You're not providing anything. Out. Now, it also goes for all men in America. But some men in America can just deal with it and put it up with because you have a reason to go out there and say, I have a wife and a child, because it gives you an ego boost. It tells you you're doing things right. But when you get back behind those closed doors, you're getting reamed. You're getting reamed. Your wife don't give a shit about you. She ain't fornicating. She ain't dropping her neck. She ain't giving you no barbecue.
It's barbecue in there.
And the only reason she continues to do that, if she does, is because you continue to provide. The moment you stop providing, that's the end. They don't give a shit. I want somebody.
And what he says is absolutely true. And that is, I think Jeannie Mai really wants back with young Jeezy because of the lifestyle that he provides. He provides her with, a lifestyle that only the top 1% can provide, which is, unlimited resources, unlimited houses, unlimited trips, unlimited vacations. And she realizes that if you leave this man and what he can provide, she can't find that anywhere else. She can't get with a bum anymore. She can't get with, I wouldn't say a bum, or a lower earning man anymore. And that is in her future because she's already had a child with this man. So, there's a choice to be made. And her choice was that she needs to be back in this man's life. Quite simply. She wants to be back in this man's life because there's no other competent individual who will take his place. And it's true so therefore she only wants back in his life because of what he can provide rather than what if she really loves him. I think it's out of desperation that she's back into his life. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with Coach Greg on this. I believe because this man can provide you with a lifestyle that you so So obviously covet that you want back in his life because there's no one else to do that for you. But if you had behaved like a wife should have, you may be in that, you may not have to, have this divorce being served upon you. You may not have to go through life with you and your daughter alone. You may not have to find a man who may or may not suit you financially. Maybe a lower earning individual, an average guy. But you didn't listen, and here are the consequences.
To debunk. I want somebody to debunk this fact. This goes for all men. He's talking about black men. I'm saying all men. Show me where they care about men. Mental Health Month for men. Nobody gave a rat's ass about Mental Health Month. I'm on the record to say this. Nobody cares about men's mental health unless they're getting something from that man. In this case, if you're an athlete, the college cares about your mental health. Right? You're a football player. They're like, we need to work on your mental health. Why? Because you're on the football team. If you ain't on the football team, you ain't got no access to the resources. Number two, if you're going to hurt someone, meaning you're going to hurt someone, lash out, commit an act of violence, crime, that means people can be innocently affected. They're going to care about your mental health. They're going to care. Number three, if you're in a relationship, someone, they're going to be like, you need to get mental health so I can get you over in the right mind, healthy enough to keep providing for me. If you ain't in no relationship, nobody gives a damn about you. Nobody going to be like, oh, I've really been looking out and caring for you and walk you to the damn therapist. Men, homeless through divorce, mental health, and drug use. They don't care about men. 70% of homeless people are men. Nobody gives a
There it is. There's that stat. 70% of men, 70% of the homeless are men. Unless you can protect and provide, problem solve and procreate. Well, procreation's a given, and problem solving is within certain situations. But if you cannot protect, but if you definitely cannot provide, the world thinks less of you. They don't care about you. And it's absolutely true. And I think Jeannie really cares about young Jeezy because of what he can provide, which is a certain lifestyle that she can't get anywhere else, but her mouth wrote checks she couldn't cash. Let me see if there's anything going forward, and then we're just going to wrap things up here because I think we've got to the end of things here. But
it's because people stop caring about them. There's stories of men that died and the daughter or the granddaughter kept the damn mummified body in there stanking, collecting his social security check. And the ninja been Kirk Franklin story. Alienated from the children, divorced twice, arrested, put in jail for child support, drank. He just over there with nobody left. Nobody left. Nobody left to visit. Nobody left to see. These weren't guys that were out there just fornicating and having fun. These were guys that had families and shit. 3 kids, 2 mamas, leaving their ass in there. Nobody visiting you. So when they say there are men in the hospital dying, they're acting like, oh, these are guys out there that refuse to get married. No, these were the ninjas that got wiped out. Divorced twice. Baby mama in child support, alienated from their kids. It's crazy. When they can't drain, oh, I can't get none from this guy, you're disposable. But I want you to know that a lot of men fall into that and you don't have to. There's so much life out here. There's so much opportunity out here. We live in a great time. It's a great time to be a man. Feminism freed men. Feminism freed us A lot of these goofy women, they're 30 and 40 trying to figure it out. They're misplaced, displaced, confused, misguided, and undecided about what they want to do. And now they're offering themselves at you. I'm going to show you what the 6/6s can give you. Let me show you. Since they're undecided, they're trying to get you to decide for them. And here you are, 30, 40, 50, about to throw your life down for this. Let me show you what the 6/6s can give you. Okay? Here it is right here. And we'll get to the super chats. Ladies and gentlemen, as I pop this on the screen, take a quick look at what the 6/6s can get you. Right here, right here. All right, let's look at it. This is a dating app. I'll fall for you if you follow the rules of 6. 6 feet with 6 figures. But we are battling inflation, so I'll be flexible, yeah, for boys that make me giggle. Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to leave it right there. Well, this segment of things, because again, this is going to run into an issue, a soon-to-be discussed topic on Talk Live. But what he's really explaining here is the rule of 6. 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 inches or more, or 6 feet tall. 6 feet tall, 6 figures, 6-pack, 6 inches or more. And I've explained this to you ad litem on this talk show. If you don't have that, the rule of 6, you're in trouble as a man in these streets. You're in definite trouble. You cannot provide the world anything and they will discard you. Luckily, young Jeezy doesn't fall into that category. But for those who want that, that includes this lady right here. Do you think she deserves a 6 foot, 6 inches, 6 figure, 6 feet or more man? A lot of women say she does. She does. Because she's a 10. But anyways, I digress. This is another topic that will be discussed on Talk Live. Especially very, very soon. There'll be a trigger alert coming tomorrow. And I'm not saying it may be this, but don't be surprised if it is. So let's get back to brass tacks. Let me get back to my full screen here. Let me get back here because I think we fully explained this subject. So we're just going to talk about what's at stake here. So I'll go back to full cam. There we go. So, 152 anyways, coming back to that second hour nonetheless. So good time to sum up. So let's get into it. Young Jeezy. Does he have a lot to lose? Yes. Does he want the divorce? Yes. Is he willing to pay the financial price? Not really, because of the fact that he has a prenup agreement. And he hopes that prenup agreement will hold up to scrutiny and be allowed in court. Therefore, divvying the assets up more equitably than before, allowing for him to leave with his assets and she to live with hers. Plus, there's the idea of child support, which is, I would say, a minor stipend. What would be more under negotiation would be where the child would stay over time. Either because, again, this is a bi-coastal family. One lives in Atlanta, the other lives in Los Angeles. That being Jeannie. I don't think she's willing to, move out to Atlanta just to be with young Jeezy, but if not, I'm sure she'll want to go back to Los Angeles. So therefore, something has to be worked out in terms of sharing of child support and sharing of custody, because he is filing for joint custody. Remember, he is filing for joint custody. So there is that issue to deal with as well. So, is it worth the peace of mind of young Jeezy to file for divorce? I would say yes. However, there is a price to be paid. There's a heavy price to be paid, especially if the prenuptial agreement is not observed in this matter. Jeannie Mai wants back with young Jeezy, reportedly. She wants back with young Jeezy. She's devastated at the chance of divorce, and she wants her man back. Because I'm thinking of what he can provide her, and no other man really in her will be able to come into her life and provide such a lifestyle. So she's begging for him to come back and be a family once again. CGA said, you know what? Don't go back. They're an ex for a reason. Take the hit, take the loss, and move forward. Which can be seen as sound advice. But then again, young Jeezy may be in love again and may want to stick it out. However, let's call a spade here. It's going to be a heavy price to pay for young Jeezy to stay in this relationship. Period. Well, not. Let me say this: for him to file this divorce, it's going to be a heavy price to pay. To stay in this relationship, again, it starts back the divorce clock, and he'll have to take a lot more time in order to get extricated from the divorce, and that will allow her for greater chances of the splitting of marital property, and also alimony may be on the table. Well, greater chance of alimony being on the table, and also greater child support to be made available. So it is a risk for young Jeezy, but he's willing to take that risk on, and that speaks to the fact that Jeannie Mai was not a wife within that relationship. She was definitely fit. But she wasn't so friendly. She was feminine, but she wasn't so cooperative and submissive. She was a modern woman, and that he could not stand. So much so, he was willing to risk severe financial penalty in order to stay with her. But such is the modern world. So this can be seen as a cautionary tale to men. You must vet your lady carefully. Because especially if you're a breadwinner, there is a serious price to pay. As has already been explained on Talk Talk. Through marital property division, through alimony, through child support. Also through custody, and through legal fees. That's why you're seeing the decline of marriages in the Western world, because to breadwinners who are usually men, there's a price to be paid. A serious one at that. One could be alone, one can be destitute. Especially if you cannot provide enough for yourself and a new family in and of itself. Because men are judged with what we can provide. That is the truth. That is the ultimate truth. If we cannot protect, provide, procreate, and problem solve, we are in serious trouble. And we are usually left at the side of the crossroads. So to Jeannie Mai, to young Jeezy, I hope things can be worked out amicably, but to young Jeezy, you have a decision to make. If she makes you happy, go back to the relationship, but realize that if one tells you who they are, believe them. Because I don't see Jeannie Mai changing anytime soon for her man. She just wants a relationship. She just wants the semblance of a lifestyle that he can provide. Because she can't get that lifestyle anywhere else. Let that be perfectly clear. So she's taking a page out of Beyonce's playbook and saying, you know what? I need to be back in this relationship. I'm sorry for what happened before, but please take me back. So that's why she's reportedly pleading for the return of Jeezy. But I say to young Jeezy, you have a decision to make. You have a serious decision to make here. One that can affect your fortune for years to come. If you stay on this track, even though you take a hit, you'll be able to move on because, again, you're still, in your relative prime, and you can still, make that money back in, with your inimitable talent. And still gain resources through your, a vast array of businesses and homes and resources. So you'll be fine in that sense. So if you want to move on, do move on. But realize that, this is a serious undertaking that you must be made aware of. And quite simply, I'll let you go with Godspeed. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. We're going to sign off right now. Good night from Toronto. And to my YouTube viewers, we've hit the 2-hour mark. We're going to get out of here right now for Talk Live. We'll be back tomorrow, I think, with a very, very touchy subject. I'm going to step on a few toes with this one, but I'm not going to reveal it just yet. I'm going to reveal it tomorrow. We're just going to get it together, but I'll tell you something. It is going to be controversial, to say the least. So I ask you to join me then tomorrow. So thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube, sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Fall winter line on now for the Duntalk clothing company. And I wish young Jeezy Godspeed, but realize that whatever you do, there's a price to be paid, but I'm sure you'll do the right thing. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. I'm going to get out of these clothes and relax a bit, but we'll see you tomorrow night with a new show, a very controversial show. I know it. So get ready to get triggered tomorrow